well, after I finished Fast and Furious 6, and you'll hear that on Patreon, I had to correct the world, so I watched one of my favorite films of all time as a rewatch. I've seen this like 10, 15 times.
June?
No, not yet. I watched Office Space.
Oh, it's a great film. What a good film.
If you haven't seen Office Space, it's a 1999 American comedy film written by Mike Judge of Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill fame. And it speaks to me because it satirizes office work life for a bunch of kind of software developers. And it apparently was quite the failure at the time. It cost $10 million to make and only made $12 million. But it's become a cult hit. So the story follows Peter Gibbons, who's played by Ron Livingston, who was, I think, for a while, the 90s pretty boy. We put it on last night, and Pippa immediately says, "Oh, he was in Sex and the City." Like, okay, wonderful, great. But he plays Peter Gibbons. He's a frustrated, unmotivated programmer. Comes into work every day, is utterly miserable. A bit like whenever I used to go into the office, quite frankly. He slacks off. He's sick of his life. He thinks his girlfriend's cheating on him. He lives in a very small apartment with walls so thin he can actually talk to his neighbor through them. And he ends up kind of in possibly a massive funk. And his girlfriend takes him to a hypnotherapist to see if he can sort his life out. And while under the state of hypnosis, where Peter's going to like be chill about everything and not worry about anything at all, the hypnotherapist dies. So that triggers Peter to be, for the rest of the film, a little bit spaced out and a little bit, I don't give a fuck. He stops going into work. When he does turn up, he does things like destroys his cubicle so he can see out the window, sits and plays Tetris on his computer. And all the way through the film, there's this kind of second through line that the company are trying to streamline things. So they have a couple of efficiency consultants come in. One of them played by John C. McGinley, which is surreal to see him squeezed into a suit with a little mustache on him.
I love it.
And it's a really funny film, especially if you have worked in an office, especially one like for an older company, you still have a lot of the 90s practices going on. It is really funny. It's a really funny satire, and it makes me very happy to watch it. Even just to the point where there's a running joke where a couple of side characters are constantly getting annoyed by a printer. If you've ever worked in an office with a dodgy printer, and you get the wonderful moment where they steal the printer and smash it up with a baseball bat in the field. Which I've wanted to do to several office printers in my lifetime.
Can I just say, in terms of printers, isn't it crazy how far we've come in the last 25, 30 years with technology, and yet printers, we've just never ever been able to improve them, even now.
I researched why we haven't improved them, funnily enough, years ago. It's to do with the fact that we still use the same old fucking paper.
Also, printer companies are just horrible people.
Yeah, and they're horrible people.
Like I can't remember. I was reading something, it was on the register or something, where Epsom are starting to put stuff in where the printer won't work if you don't put in Epsom cartridges, so you can't buy like third-party cartridges.
Because they've got chips on them, haven't they, to scan.
And they'll also stop working if you refill the existing Epsom cartridges.
Yep.
Like the cartridges now report back when they're empty.
Multi-billion-dollar industry.
Oh, yeah. And printers are awful. But this film is great. So if you haven't seen it for whatever reason, it is a little cult classic. It's very 90s. It's got a banging soundtrack.
It's on Disney Plus as well.
I watched it on Amazon Prime, but it's worth watching.